A baguette is a long thin loaf of French bread that is commonly made from basic lean dough. It is distinguishable by its length and crisp crust. A standard baguette has a diameter of about 5 or 6 centimeters and a usual length of about 65 centimeters, although a baguette can be up to a meter long. History: the word baguette was not used to refer to a type of bread until 1920, but what is now known as a baguette may have existed well before that. The word simply means wand, or baton, as in baguette magique, baguettes genoises, or baguette de direction. Though the baguette today is often considered one of the symbols of French culture viewed from abroad, the association of France with long loaves predates any mention of it. Long, if wide, loaves had been made since the time of Louis XIV, long thin ones since the mid-18th century, and by the 19th century some were far longer than the baguette. Loaves of bread 6 feet long that look like crowbars. Housemaids were hurrying homewards with their purchases for various Gallic breakfasts, and the long sticks of bread, a yard or two in length, carried under their arms, made an odd impression upon me. A less direct link can be made however with deck ovens, or steam ovens. Deck steam ovens are a combination of a gas-fired traditional oven and a brick oven, a thick deck of stone or fire brick heated by natural gas instead of wood. The first steam oven was brought to Paris by the Austrian officer Auguste Zang, who also introduced Vienna bread and the croissant, and whom some French sources thus credit with originating the baguette. Deck ovens use steam injection, through various methods, to create the proper baguette. The oven is typically heated to well over 205 degrees Celsius. The steam allows the crust to expand before setting, thus creating a lighter, airier loaf. It also melts the dextrose on the bread's surface, giving a slightly glazed effect. An unsourced article in The Economist states that in October 1920 a law prevented bakers from working before 4 a.m., making it impossible to make the traditional, round loaf in time for customers' breakfasts. The slender baguette, the article claims, solved the problem, because it could be prepared and baked much more rapidly, though France had already had long thin breads for over a century at that point. The law in question appears to be one from March 1919, though some say it took effect in October 1920. It is forbidden to employ workers at bread and pastry making between 10 in the evening and 4 in the morning. The rest of the account remains to be verified, but the use of the word for a long thin bread does appear to be a 20th century innovation. Manufacture and styles: the baguette de tradition française is made from wheat flour, water, yeast, and common salt. It does not contain additives, but it may contain broad bean flour, soya flour, wheat malt flour. Standard baguettes however may contain a certain number of additives. Depending on those used either in the original flour or those added separately to the bread ingredients, a baguette euro, or any other French brioche euro may not be considered vegan or kosher. While a regular baguette is made with a direct addition of baker's yeast, it is not unusual for artisan-style loaves to be made with a pre-ferment or pouliche, bǽɡɛt, or other bread pre-ferments to increase flavor complexity and other characteristics, as well as the addition of whole wheat flour, or other grains such as rye. Baguettes are closely connected to France, though they are made around the world. In France, not all long loaves are baguettes. For example, a short, almost rugby ball-shaped loaf is a bar-centard, or a torpedo loaf in English. Its origin is variously explained, but undocumented. Another tubular-shaped loaf is known as a flauté, also known in the United States as a Parisienne. Flautés closely resemble baguettes and weigh more or less than these, depending on the region. A thinner loaf is called a fissle. A short baguette is sometimes known as a baton, or even referred to using the English translation French stick. None of these are officially defined either legally or, for instance, in major dictionaries, any more than the baguette. French breads are also made in forms such as a miche, which is a large pan loaf, and a boule, literally ball in French, a large round loaf. Sandwich-sized loaves are sometimes known as demi-baguettes or tiers. In France a baguette must weigh 250 grams, a batard 500 grams and a fissle 100 grams. Baguettes, either relatively short single-serving size or cut from a longer loaf, are very often used for sandwiches, usually of the submarine sandwich type, but also panini. They are often sliced and served with parmesan copyright or cheese. As part of the traditional continental breakfast in France, slices of baguette are spread with butter and jam and dunked in bowls of coffee or hot chocolate. In the United States, French bread loaves are sometimes split in half to make French bread pizza. Baguettes are generally made as partially free-form loaves, with the loaf formed with a series of folding and rolling motions, raised in cloth-lined baskets or in rows on a flour-impregnated towel, called a couche, and baked either directly on the hearth of a deck oven or in special perforated pans designed to hold the shape of the baguette while allowing heat through the perforations. American-style French bread is generally much fatter and is not baked in deck ovens, but in convection ovens. Outside France, baguettes are also made with other doughs. For example, the Vietnamese bánh ma uses a high proportion of rice flour, while many North American bakeries make whole wheat, multi-grain, and sourdough baguettes alongside French-style loaves. In addition, even classical French-style recipes vary from place to place, with some recipes adding small amounts of milk, butter, sugar, or malt extract, depending on the desired flavor and properties in the final loaf. See also. References. Further reading, Child, Julia. From Julia Child's Kitchen. New York, Knopf, 1970. Child, Julia and Simone Beck. Mastering the Art of French Cooking, Volume 2. New York, Knopf, 1970. Rumbali, Paul. Boulangerie. New York, Macmillan, 1994, ISBN 0-02-600865-3. Reinhardt, Peter. Crust and Crumb. Berkeley, California, 10-Speed Press, 1998, ISBN 1-58008-802-3. External links, about the baguette, an investigation into the origin of the baguette, how to make a basic baguette, a thorough video demonstrating how to make a basic baguette.